Today I have prepared something amazing for you. I want to show you the most incredible and outrageous inventions of the Soviet Union, which still amaze us with their power and ingenuity. These are the things we only see in science fiction movies, but they were a reality for Soviet engineers and scientists. Are you ready to see tanks in the shape of flying saucers, airplanes the size of a military base, and even a submarine that can fly? Then get ready, because we're starting. First, I want to tell you about the famous K-7 project, which was implemented in the 1930s. It was a true masterpiece of Soviet aviation, impressing with its size and capabilities. Konstantin Kalinin, the chief designer of this marvel, began working on it back in 1920, and after 4 years, he had a ready project. It was a huge flying wing, which was innovative for its time. This design had many advantages, such as the absence of a tail, which reduced weight and allowed for increased payload capacity, but it also had its drawbacks, which we'll talk about later. In 1933, the first prototype was built, which had a wingspan of 53 meters. The K-7 could carry 128 passengers over a distance of 5,000 kilometers, and was equipped with everything necessary for a comfortable flight: a kitchen, a recreation area, and even telephone communication. It weighed 21 tons. A military version of the aircraft was also developed, which was considered a potential bomber. It became the largest aircraft in the USSR. During tests, problems with vibration were identified, but after they were resolved, the aircraft successfully made its first flight with Kalinin as the second pilot. However, 2 months later, during an attempt to reach maximum speed, a catastrophe occurred, possibly due to flutter, that is, unstable wing oscillations. Despite the crash of the first prototype, the construction of the next continued, but by 1935, the project was halted and then finally discontinued. Why? Political games. Kalinin was reported, the project was shut down, and the engineer himself was killed 3 years later. It was the story of one of the most amazing and tragic projects of Soviet aviation. But I have much more interesting things for you. 38 years ago, on February 20, 1986, the world saw the successful launch of the Mir orbital station for the first time, which became the first multi-module type space station. What happened to it, and why did Russia get rid of this greatest legacy? Let's figure it out. Why build orbital stations at all? They provided astronauts with the opportunity to spend much more time in space and conduct experiments there with the necessary equipment without worrying about its return to Earth. The first orbital station was launched by the Soviet Union, Salyut-1, in April 1971, followed by a series of Salyut stations. However, with the increasing demands of space research, there was a need to create a more advanced multi-module orbital station, which led to the development of the Mir project. Work on Mir began in 1976 and lasted for about 10 years, overcoming various difficulties, including competition with the Buran program. Grigory Romanov played a decisive role in implementing the project, achieving the adoption of a government resolution to start full-scale work. The Mir station became a real breakthrough in space research, allowing for over 23,000 scientific experiments to be conducted and setting many world records. It served as a workplace for 100 cosmonauts from different countries, including a significant number of American astronauts in the mid-90s, made possible by international financing, mainly from the United States. But all good things come to an end. Russia was not ready to finance such complex projects, and other countries decided to prefer the International Space Station. And on March 23, 2001, the Mir station completed its flight, planned to be sunk in the ocean. The next vehicle I want to tell you about is the Colossal 12-axle transporter MAZ 7907, which was the pinnacle of Soviet engineering mastery. Work on this giant began in Minsk in March 1983, and just 2 years later, 2 such transporters were assembled at the MAZ plant for testing. They were designed to transport the mobile missile complex Selena-2 with the intercontinental ballistic missile T-23, known as Melodic. The 22-meter-long rocket weighed 104 tons, and together with the launch container, it was about 126 tons. The Maz 7907, built to transport such cargo, had impressive dimensions: 28 meters in length, 4 meters in width, and 4 meters in height. Its design was particularly striking. It was the world's only self-propelled transporter with 24 driven wheels, 8 of which were steerable. This allowed the huge machine to turn within a radius of just 27 meters. The technical characteristics of the Maz 7907 were also remarkable. A tanked He-80 gas turbine engine, boosted to 1250 horsepower, drove a generator, which in turn powered traction electric motors for each wheel. Although the transporter's maximum speed was only 25 kilometers per hour, its power and capabilities were truly impressive. But that's not all. I want to remind you that if you haven't subscribed to my channel, you're missing out on a lot of interesting and amazing facts. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to not miss new videos. And now, let's take a look at another equally impressive means of transport: the experimental wheeled chassis Maz 7904, with the unique 12x12 configuration. This unique specimen was assembled in 1983, and still remains a mystery as to exactly what purposes it was developed for. There are several theories regarding its purpose. Some speculate that it was created for transporting the intercontinental ballistic missile Melodic, while others believe it was intended for collecting spent blocks of the first stage of the Energia rocket on the expanses of Kazakhstan. A third hypothesis links it to the Energia Buran program, suggesting its use for transporting rocket system components for assembly. But regardless of the purpose of the Maz 7904, its dimensions and technical characteristics continue to inspire awe. This giant weighed 140 tons, and could carry loads of up to 220 tons, exceeding its own weight by more than 1.5 times. The power to the machine was provided by a Marine V12 engine with a volume of 42 liters and a power of 1,500 horsepower, which, through two 4-speed hydromechanical transmissions and hub planetary gear reducers, provided power to the wheels. Additionally, a second engine was installed on board, a 330 horsepower, 8-cylinder turbocharged diesel, which powered the steering, hydraulic pump, compensator, brake system, and other auxiliary devices. In early 1984, the transporter was sent to Baikonur for testing, and after thousands of kilometers traveled across the steppes of Kazakhstan, it was found that the machine was too unwieldy, heavy, with a turning radius of 50 meters and an axle load of 60 tons per axle. It easily got stuck in soft soils. Because of these shortcomings, the Maz 7904 project was closed, and as an alternative, the lighter and more maneuverable 12-axle Maz 7907 was developed. That was just the first part, but that's not all. Write in the comments, what do you think about this technique? What do you think about the engineers who developed it? Subscribe to my channel, put likes, and see you soon in the second part.